You are first going to need a plank of 3/4 inch wood. It doesn't matter what kind you use, so long as it is strong. This piece here is going to have one long 11.5 inch cut that will have all the crossbow parts on it, so it must be straight. The angles on the piece of wood you are cutting don't have to be the same, but the overall shape should be the same. Then you need to cut this 3.5 inch piece off the wood, going an inch down. After this, you should be done with the main piece. This next piece is the most complicated piece because it will hold the bow, guide the bolts, and hold the trigger. Use 3/4 inch wood for this too. For the cut, you should make it 8 inches by 1 inch. When you have made the cuts, go about 1/4 inch of an inch to 1 inch on one end of the piece, and cut it 3/4 inch down in a curved way. Watch the video to make sense of this complicated step. On the other side, use the bandsaw and get as far as you can to each edge of the wood without making the wood weak. Cut an inch in as shown in the video. This piece should now fit into the piece you cut earlier. Try putting them on top of each other. If they don't fit, recut it until it does. These next two pieces are almost exactly alike. They are just a paint stirring stick cut in half with holes drilled into each side. The pieces will hold the dowel that makes up the trigger of the crossbow. Cut the holes according to the size of the dowel. This is a quick little look at the dowel I'm using. This is the trigger part. It must be the narrowest and strongest plywood you have, only a small strip. Look in the video at how the piece fits into the already cut pieces of wood. It will take a few tries to cut the dip in front of the wood, so make sure you've got more than just one. Make the cuts with a bandsaw or any other tool you have that can cut it. Here's what the little dip I'm talking about should look like. Kind of a little trough curve. And right here is me cutting the dip. And make sure that you cut it straight and not too weak, because you might cut off some of it and it might end up breaking when you have the string pulled back. Now is a good time to sand all your pieces down to what you want. Just don't sand the bottom and top of the piece the bow and trigger fits into, or the 11.5 side on the original piece. They need to be glued with a... Take the main body piece and draw lines from that trigger gap that you originally cut right there. I'm showing right there, it's about 1/4 inch for me. And draw lines that are parallel to each other so you know where to put the rail on. And here's me drawing the line showing exactly how I'm doing it. It should be pretty straight. It's where it's going to guide your arrows or bolts. On the main body piece is going to be a few lined up popsicle sticks. This will form the rail the bolt and string will slide across. In this video clip it shows me marking the spots with tape and then cutting them down so the popsicle sticks can fit together without having gaps. One thing when you're cutting, make sure you cut these lines very straight because these pieces need to go right next to each other to form a very straight line which the bolts will slide on. Here are the popsicle sticks being glued onto a fake sample piece because the main body piece was too hard to work with on video. These pieces are very close to each other and they're very parallel to each other side by side. And there's no gaps in between each popsicle stick put together. You can later saw off the popsicle sticks that are hanging off the edge and it won't affect anything. At this point, all you need to do is glue the pieces together. I highly recommend you use real glue, wood glue, instead of hot glue, but I decided to use hot glue because it's faster and dries faster. Okay, in the video I never showed the bow being made, but really it's just a 16-inch PVC pipe tube cut in half lengthwise, and then I just drilled holes on both sides and attached a string. It's really easy to make and it's not really necessary for the video. The last step in building this crossbow is attaching the trigger to the body. First, glue the two paint stirring sticks on either side of the body of the crossbow, having the dowel in the holes the whole time so you know it will dry parallel. Now one tip you can do is to take a metal ruler or any kind of ruler you have and measuring it from the distance of the main body piece to the body and then flipping it over to the other side and doing the same on here so you know it's definitely right next to each other. Now the very last step on here is to take the dowel and put it in so you can place a trigger onto it and mark where the hole should go. This is a very important step because it determines where the trigger will lift up to hold the string and how sensitive it is. Please watch the video to see what I really meant by this. Right here I'm showing the hole being drilled and then it being attached. So here's the finished crossbow. It looks really good and it works very good, much better than the original. And don't really pay attention to the pink string because that's the only kind of string I had.